Okay, now we're going to see the last part, which is what to do after the class. Just to recap a little bit, what have we done now? Before the class, we prepare. So we open the teacher's book. And in the teacher's book, we would be signing in, signing our attendance by signing next to this little fountain pen. We would be looking through the activities and the material, selecting a blue, a green, and a yellow through activities for a 30-minute class. And when the class time starts, we would open on the monitor, keeping our book open on the side, which is really helpful. We would start the class and we would go through the activities that we have selected before. Remember, just through a conversation, we have no pointer, there's no mouse, no whatever. So all the activities have been designed so that you can easily refer to the elements on the screen and make the learning through a conversation. Now let's say class is over. What do we do? First of all, we're going to click on Finish Class. Excellent. Now, these people have taken a class and they want to know how well they did. So we're going to send them a general appraisal email here. Okay. To do so, we have to mark attendance. So we will mark which students have attended. Remember, they might be 1, 2, or 3. Now, the general appraisal, the feedback, what I do is I copy all the corrections that I have given them from the chat box and I put them, there we go. I copy them and I put them in the general appraisal box, and maybe I could format it a little bit, okay? Each teacher has their own way to format. I tend to have these categories. Oh, sorry, new keyboard. Okay, and I just give them a little feedback on how the class went, okay? New lexis or vocabulary or structure would come here. That would be up to you. Be careful. I generally put this for things that confuse, like destiny, destination, things like that. I go ahead sometimes and I go to the Cambridge Learners Dictionary and I find the definition for them and examples so that they can see destiny, right? And I just literally copy this from here to give them the definition, etc. But what's more important, well, first of all, sometimes there's not that many corrections because they did the class quite well. So in that case, it's very important to send them real material. Okay, we learn by listening, and the more exposure we have, the better. So many times I send them like YouTube videos, short brief, like 3-5 minutes that talk about a topic that went to the class. Or this one class I said, hey, these are my 5 top, rock bands, and just get to hear the lyrics and stuff. So I send them music, I send them podcasts, I send them YouTube videos, I send them a lot of real material. All right. We also have the Oxinity blog. And sometimes there are some entries in the Oxinity blog of vocabulary and grammar, or even something to read that you might think could be interesting for them. So you could present perfect or past perfect. Okay. So you might also want to send them a blog from here. Okay, that'd be up to you. Now, again, this feedback, all right, you're going to have back-to-back classes at one point, and we can't do this right at the end of class. It's okay. When you're done with your classes, at the end of the morning, at the evening, you can do the general appraisal then, okay? I don't know if you noticed, but all the stuff we had written before, when we started the class again, it was still there. So you're not going to lose the corrections, okay? And always a positive note, okay? You did great today. You did great today, especially that challenging pronunciation activity. All right, so always give some type of feedback, even if you have nothing to say. I mean, I have some classes I've said, hey, I really have no corrections. You did great. Just keep going. I mean, you're going to, advance fast, etc. Right? You can save it But of course, we're going to preview the email just to make sure what it looks like and send them to the students. That'll be the first thing you have to do when the class is finished. Send some feedback to the students. And here's the second thing you have to do in the teacher's book. All right, this is the teacher's book. This is the classroom. In the teacher's book, we're going to go back to attendance. And of course, we have to mark the student's attendance. So we tell the system this person showed up. So I'm going to click on attendance. And now comes the aspect of being a teacher as well. Okay, because being a teacher is not about creating materials and content and lesson plans and activities, or creating exams and correcting exams. Being a teacher is about teaching, all right? And about giving instructions and conveying meaning, giving examples and making sure that they understood. And this is a very important thing that any Oxinity teacher should do, is to learn to use our assessment system. What are we going to do? After every single class, we will assess the student. As simple as, did they acquire the content? Did they not? Very simple. So acquire the content means that they know. It's consolidated. So I only mark a green face when the students can perform correctly from moment one. If they can't perform correctly, that pronunciation, or they're confused with the vocabulary, it's a red face. But if they start a bit, struggling, and they finish the activity correctly, it's still a red face, because that is a learning curve. It's not consolidated. Okay? And actually, people think that the more green faces they get, the best. No, we'll see why. The more red faces, the best. Why? Because if I mark this student, and I say, this is how she did, okay? This is how she did. What am I doing? I'm filling the system with information. I'm telling the system, hey, this person knows this, but this person doesn't know that. So what's the system going to do? It's going to fetch activities that have to do with this lexical field so that the student can repeat what they don't know. So this is why it's so important. What they know is great. It's fine. But what they don't know is what we have to go for. So it's really, really important that we mark this correctly, because then the system is going to craft a complete new lesson based on what the students know and don't know. So if you mark a lot of green faces and it's not really consolidated, at one point the student will struggle because they will have to face a challenge that they're not ready for. So I would rather have a red face if I have some doubts. Okay? And this is actually what makes our lives better. We can go faster. We don't have to create lesson plans. There's a workload taken off our back. We don't have to create activities or content or materials, adapt to students' levels, etc. Nothing. It's done for us. But as long as we all together use this system correctly. Okay? And the last thing we're going to do is little stars. Little stars are to rate the activities as teachers. As teachers, was the material well designed, well presented? Did it have a flow between attachments? Were the elements easily referable on the screen? Were they good examples? Were the activities a high enough challenge? Were they too challenging? Etc. And based on that, we will mark the number of stars, okay? Etc. Oops, now the faces went back. Well, we would have to, of course, review all of this. So basically, this is what we would do at the end of the class. And one last thing I want to show you, okay, is what happens with no-shows. All right, you're there in the morning, you prepared for a class, and the student doesn't show up. First of all, the class starts at class time. You don't wait for other students, okay? So if it starts at 9, you start at 9. People are late, people are late. All right, you start on the dot. Now, you have to wait for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, students are allowed to be 10 minutes late, okay? If that happens, I will go to the chat box. Hey guys, I'm here. But still, the student doesn't show up. Now, you deserve to be paid. I get it. My client did not show up to your class. But you prepared for it. You did your homework. You did your part. I get it. You deserve to be paid. And I will pay you. But what will we do? We don't pay each other for anything. So it's actually not the company keeping the money, right? You're going to be paid, but these are the situations that you might face, okay? This would be a no-show. So what happens here? This is in the summer. A lot of classes are canceled because we're given slots of hours and students don't sign in. Okay, so you wake up in the morning and these classes were canceled because there are no students. You don't have to prepare anything. Great. These classes I gave, and this class was compensated. Why? Because the student didn't show up or he canceled an hour before the class started. Now this is where I'm going to still be paid. And when this happens, we are assigned something called complementary work, which is to make up for, complement the time that you were there. Complementary work shows up here in activities. And basically, it's about correcting an activity. Now, we have very high standards on how this material should be designed and prepared to meet a criteria, which is for the students to learn fast. So if this happens, I will contact with Gergo, for example. He's the person who leads this part of the project, and there's training for it, there's workshops, and actually the more complementary work you do and the more workshops you attend, the more you will understand how it is to teach under this approach and philosophy. So I would encourage you to come to all the complementary work sessions as possible and to learn more on how to teach faster and better. And I think this is it. So thank you.